Mahatma Nugrahaniya Shila Rakyam Kula Brahmanya Padash Shochad Durad Visrashtam Bad Graharya Karma. So let's read the translation. I will read the translation and someone can read the purport. I'll start with the translation. The fortunate king said, "Indeed, we are the most grateful of all the kings who are trained to get favors from the great souls. Generally, you sages consider royalty as refuge to be rejected and left in a distant place." Can someone read the purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. According to religious principles, stool, urine, wash water, etc., must be left at a long distance. Attached bathrooms, urinals, etc., may be very convenient amenities of modern civilization, but they are ordered to be situated at a distance from residential quarters. That very example is cited herein in relation to the kingly order for those who are progressively marching back to the Godhead. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that to be in intimate touch with dollars and cents men or the kingly order is worse than suicide for one who desires to go back to the Godhead. In other words, the transcendentalists do not generally associate with men who are too imam, enamored by the external beauty of the Lord God's creation. By advanced knowledge in spiritual realization, the transcendentalist knows that this beautiful material world is nothing but a shadowy reflection of the reality, the kingdom of the God. They are not therefore very much captivated by royal opulence of anything like that. But in the case of Maharaj Parikshit, the situation was different. Apparently, the king was condemned to death by an inexperienced Brahmin boy, but factually he was uh, called by the Lord to return to him. Other transcendentalists, the great sages and mystics who assembled together because of Maharaj Parikshit's fasting unto death, were quite anxious to see him, for he was going back to the Godhead. Maharaj Parikshit also could understand that the great sages who assembled there were all kinds of they were all kind to his forefathers, the Pandavas, because of their devotional service to the Lord. He therefore felt grateful to the sages for being present there at the last stage of his life, and he felt that it was all due to the greatness of the late forefathers or grandfathers. He felt proud, therefore, that he happened to be the descendant of such great devotees. Such pride for the devotees of the Lord is certainly not equal to the puffed up sense of vanity for material prosperity. The first is reality, whereas the other is false and vain. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu. So this is a very nice conversation that is happening between Parikshit Maharaj and the sages who are assembled from 13 onwards. There's a beautiful, intimate relationship that is working between Parikshit Maharaj and the rishis. Very beautiful shlokas. I'll just share my screen and let me know if you can see my screens. Let me know if you are seeing my screens and then we can continue, okay?
We can see, Prabhuji.
Okay, fine. So this is the 90. Now, whatever I have prepared today, I was just referring to a lecture of His Holiness Radha Govind Swami Maharaj. Beautiful points that he has mentioned in all of these shlokas. So I'll just present what he was speaking, His Holiness Radha Govind Swami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now, in 13, what is happening is that Parikshit Maharaj is praising the sages, right? In this shloka, Parikshit Maharaj is saying that it is only because of the grace of these sages this is all happening. So great sages have assembled and they are praising Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj has taken a decision that he's not going to eat and drink for 7 days. He has taken decision that he only wants to hear um, Lord Vishnu or Krishna's katha. And this is where, these sages are praising Parikshit Maharaj. And Parikshit Maharaj earlier did not realize, when this episode of the snake took place, when this happened, when Parikshit Maharaj put the snake on the neck, he did not really realize that this is a mercy from the Lord himself. When Parikshit Maharaj now is sitting and sages in front of him praising, is where he realized that, all this that happened right now is all because of the mercy of the Lord. And Parikshit Maharaj now is realizing that all that happened was only because of the will of the Lord. And in this shloka on 119.13 specifically, Prabhupada says that royalty is not considered good. So here in the purport and translation, Prabhupada says that sages reject the royalty and they are thrown and left at a distant place. And it is also said in the first line that, and Parikshit Maharaj is saying that typically the kings and the royal kings are thrown as stool, urine, and wash water is thrown out. So here in this 13th shloka, Parikshit Maharaj is praising the sages, saying that being such a royal king and knowing that we are thrown like stool, urine, and wash water, you have still assembled and giving the mercy to him, which is Parikshit Maharaj. Okay. Now, Prabhupada also in this purport very specifically says that never associate with a materialistic person or materialistic people. Okay. So materialistic people also include people who are advanced, people who are wealthy, who have a lot of money, right? And Radha Swami Maharaj says that great sages and Mahatmas will never want to be associated with these kind of people. Okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in fact, in Chaitanya Charitamrita also, when Pratap Rudra wanted to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, no, I'm not going to meet him. And this was the same reason that since he was a king, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu denied that he's not going to meet Rudra Pratap. Okay. And it is mentioned also that rather than meeting these materialistic people and associating with them, it is better that you die. Okay. Now, why is this statement put? So Maharaj very nicely puts a statement that when you associate with this kind of materialistic people, what typically happens is you develop a sense of enjoyment. So you are developing a sense of enjoying this material world when you associate with this kind of materialistic people. And he gave a very good, beautiful point is, he says, what is the downfall of a devotee? He says the downfall of a devotee is when the mind of a person is not focused on Krishna, but rather is focused on sense enjoyment. And that's a real downfall of a particular devotee. So this shloka is talking about not to associate with the materialistic people, and a very good point which says that you start then developing a sense of enjoyment with the material world, right? You think I have money, I have a lot of things to enjoy, and then you typically will not focus on Krishna, rather you will focus on other things related to the material world. Okay. Now, also it says that Parikshit Maharaj, although being a king, was a bit different. He was not a normal king as the others, right? All these purport is talking about the royalty, which is not accepted, but Parikshit Maharaj was a bit different, right? Now, Parikshit Maharaj was considering his activities as condemnable because he insulted a Vaishnava by putting a snake into his neck. Right? See, all these shlokas that we will see now, it is all showing good qualities of Parikshit Maharaj, how he was different from other people. So first thing is he was considering his activities as not good. He was thinking, oh, I insulted a Vaishnava, I put a snake into his snake. So being a king, okay, he was a bit different. He also was feeling quite dhanya in terms that um, he was feeling, although he was going to die in 7 days, he was still feeling blessed because all the rishis and the sages had already assembled to see him. So it is said that when all the sages assembled, there were in thousands, sages, 80,000 sages around that number that assembled to see Parikshit Maharaj. Only because he took a decision saying that he wants to attain the lotus feet of the Lord and he just wants to hear the nectar for the next 7 days. So he was a bit different, and as in the purport it is said that being born in the family of the Pandu, he was also really blessed. So that also was a reason that he was quite blessed. And one is blessed to be a devotee of Lord Krishna. So he was really different. He was really blessed that he was a devotee of the Lord. And here Maharaj also says, who is the most fortunate? If you look at Parikshit Maharaj, Maharaj also said, who is the most fortunate? He says that if you want to see a good fortune of any person in this world, then the best fortune is one who has got the association of the devotees. He is the most fortunate. And this is what is Parikshit Maharaj. We are looking that he is the most fortunate. Why? Because he is now getting association of thousands and thousands of sages and pure devotees of the Lord, like Narad Muni, and also everyone was present there. So Maharaj says that Parikshit Maharaj was a bit different, but being different, also he was the most fortunate because all the sages who had assembled were actually with Parikshit Maharaj at the time when he wanted to leave this material world. Okay. Now, a very important point here is also mentioned that the sages were so merciful. Now, the characteristic of the sages are typically mentioned into this particular translation and purport. All these sages wish to show the mercy on to Parikshit Maharaj. Okay, and a very good point then comes is that Krishna Gauranga or even our gurus and acharyas gives out the mercy, and this mercy is called ahituki kripa. Okay, and this is where the sages were assembled to give that kripa to Parikshit Maharaj. This very specific point on ahitu kripa, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj says that we have no qualification whatsoever to receive this particular mercy, which is given by Krishna Guru, Gauranga, and Guru. But they still give us that mercy. And the next point also is what he stressed was, when we receive that kind of a mercy, we should be very grateful and we should reciprocate with that mercy. Very important point. So if you are getting a mercy from Krishna, Gauranga, or Guru, we should reciprocate with that mercy. And how do we reciprocate? Is by following their instructions, by following what they said, by understanding Shastras as they speak. So we need to follow and reciprocate with that mercy. And this is the characteristic of a sage, right? Sages are only there to give us that ahaituki kripa. Okay. And this is what Parikshit Maharaj is feeling now, that I am blessed because all these sages have assembled and they are giving me the required mercy. And one very good point that Radha Goswami Maharaj says that when we get association of the Vaishnavas, we should understand that the Lord is present before us. That's very important. So whenever we get an association, you should understand the Lord is present before us. Okay. So this is Ahitu ki Kripa. Just one slide I want to present, that who gives that Ahitu ki Kripa and how does that come in what form? We typically do not understand how a sadhu comes into this material world and gives us this Ahitu ki Kripa. So I've just included one slide for us to understand this. We all know there are three potencies of the Lord. One is an internal potency, which is also called the Chit Shakti. Another is a potential marginal potency, which is called the Jiva Shakti, and the other potency of the Lord is an external Maya Shakti. So transformation of the internal potency is the Chit or the spiritual world. That means when an internal potency gets transformed, what comes or what we get is what manifests is the spiritual world. When the marginal potency of the Lord gets transformed, we are created, the jivas come in. And when the external potency of the Lord gets transformed, we get the material world. Now, let's look at some of the more important points. Without the mercy of the Swarup Shakti, you cannot get bhakti. So, bhakti is typically part of the spiritual world. Bhakti is not part of this material world. Bhakti is always part of the Chit Shakti or the spiritual world. And bhakti is a vritti of the Swarup Shakti of the Lord. Okay, just remember this one point and we'll come to the conclusion. Second, the Bhakta Gana or Bhakta Sadhus are very dear devotees of the Lord and are manifestations of the Swarup Shakti. So all the acharyas, previous acharyas, the pure devotees of the Lord, they are manifestation of the Swarup Shakti. And then such bhaktas, pure devotees of the Lord, they belong to the spiritual world and they descend. So the spiritual world, the sadhus or the great devotees of the Lord, they are part of the spiritual world, okay, and they descend. And the Ahitu ki Kripa that we are talking about, this is nothing but without a causeless mercy of a Bhakta Sadhu, no one can get Bhakti. And the sadhus are ornaments of this world, and Bhakti they will manifest in their hearts of such sadhus. So what we need to understand is that sadhus, they descend either by a direct order of the Lord, or the sadhu even comes voluntarily seeing jivas suffering. So when a sadhu sees that the jivas is suffering, he then descends. And this is the most important part, that since the bhakta or the sadhu is part of the spiritual world, it is only that sadhu, he brings bhakti, which is primarily part of the spiritual world to the material world. So bhakti is never part of the material world. Bhakti always is part of the spiritual world, and it is only because of the Ahiti ki Kripa of the sadhu or the pure devotees that they bring bhakti from that spiritual world to the material world. And this is what is mentioned, that sadhu always gives an Ahaitu ki Kripa. And this is the Kripa that they give us. They see us suffering, and they either based on the direction from the Lord or voluntarily seeing that since we are suffering, they come from that spiritual world to the material world, bring that bhakti, and that's the Ahiti Kripa that is mentioned. So Parikshit Maharaj is feeling very blessed that there is this Ahiti Kripa that the sadhus are trying to give. Okay, let's go to shloka number 14 now. Okay, so 14 says, Tasyeva meghasya para varesho vyasakta chittasya grahashva bhishnam nirveda maulo dvijashapa rupo. Vichishapa yatra prasakto bhayamashu dhatte. Translation. I'll read and then someone can read the purport. Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of both the transcendental and the mundane world, has graciously overtaken me in the form of the Brahmana's curse. Due to my being too much attached to the family life, the Lord, in order to save me, has appeared before me in such a way that only out of fear I will detach myself from the world. Purport.
Hare Krishna.
Purport.
Purport.
Okay, Krishna, go ahead.
Sorry, sir. Maharaja Parikshit, although born in a family of great devotees, the Pandavas, and although securely trained in the transcendental attachment for the association of the Lord, still found the allurement of mundane family life so strong that he had to be detached by a plan of the Lord. Such direct action is taken by the Lord in the case of a special devotee. Maharaja Parikshit could understand this by the presence of the topmost transcendentalists in the universe. The Lord resides with his devotees, and therefore the presence of the great saints indicated the presence of the Lord. The king therefore welcomed the presence of the great rishis as a mark of a favor of the Supreme Lord. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the same. So let me share my screen back. Here, 14. So 14 is talking about okay, so Shloka 14 talks about the Lord, how gracious he is. And in this Shloka, Parikshit Maharaj is praising the Lord that he has shown the grace in the form of a curse, right? And Parikshit Maharaj says, yes, I am being too much attached to my family life. And because of this curse that I have received now in the form of a Brahmana, it is only because of that fear I will be able to renounce that that family life that I have. So he's saying that he's praising the Lord that because it is because of his grace and in the form of a curse, I am able to detach myself from the family life. And in this shloka, there's a word called Nirveda Mula, where it is said how to attain Krishna. So here, Krishna can only be attained through renunciation, right? Only when you get detached from the material world and get attached to the lotus feet of the Lord is where you will attain Krishna. So Parikshit Maharaj is praising the Lord that this was very good that a curse came in the form, and I am now able to detach myself from the family life. Okay, so I'll keep my screen. You don't have to share. I'll just move in my screen only. So this is shloka number 14 that we have. Okay. Okay. Now shloka 15. It says, Tammopayatam pratiyantu vipra Ganga cha devi dhrita chitta mishe dvijopasrishta kuhakastakshakova Dashatvalam Gayat Vishnu Gatha. So translation, O Brahmanas, just accept me as a complete surrendered soul, and let Mother Ganges, the representative of the Lord, also accept me in that way. For I have already taken the lotus feet of the Lord into my heart. Let the snake, bird, or whatever magical thing the Brahmana created bite me at once. I only desire that you all will continue singing the deeds of Lord Vishnu. Can someone read the purport?
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. As soon as one is given up completely unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, he is not at all afraid of death. The atmosphere created by the presence of great devotees of the Lord on the bank of Ganges and Maharaja Parikshit's complete acceptance of the Lord's lotus feet were sufficient guarantee to the king for going back to Godhead. He thus became absolutely free from all fear of death. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So 15, Parikshit Maharaj is very clear. He's saying, I am under your shelter, right? He requested the sages and Ganga Devi to take him under the shelter, right? And he has also said that I've already taken the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Now here, this very important point that Maharaj says is there is an eagerness that is seen with Parikshit Maharaj, a very good quality. Now, the eagerness was that he really wanted to hear the glories of the Lord, and irrespective, it is mentioned, whoever comes and bites him, whatever happens. So the eagerness was he really wanted to hear the glories of the Lord, right? It is said that when all the sages assembled, they were discussing about Parikshit Maharaj, saying that how great Parikshit Maharaj was. And Parikshit Maharaj was always telling them that, no, don't talk about me, I do not want to please don't talk about me. And I only want to hear about the Lord Vishnu. Very specifically in this verse, it is said Lord Vishnu. So that's the eagerness, that he did not want to hear anything material or hear anything about himself, but it was only about saying, no, I just want to hear about Lord Vishnu at that moment. So Maharaj stresses very nicely one point, that why Lord Vishnu, right? So if you all know that when the Brahmastra was released and Parikshit Maharaj was in the womb of Uttara, Krishna was standing at the Rath, and then this is where Uttara was started running and started praying to the Lord. And it is said that the Lord was present on the Rath, and simultaneously the Lord also protected Parikshit Maharaj in the womb. So he was actually present at two places. And this is where Maharaj says why Lord Vishnu is mentioned specifically in this shloka is because he says one who is prevalent and one who pervades at multiple places is nothing but Lord Vishnu. So it's quite interesting that Parikshit Maharaj remembered that he's remembering that particular instance, and he wanted to hear about that same Lord who actually protected Parikshit Maharaj in the womb. So that's an eagerness that is shown in this particular shloka, that he just wanted to hear talks about only Lord Vishnu, and he's remembering that incident of how the Lord saved him in the womb, and he just wanted to hear glories about that particular Lord. Okay. Now it is quite interesting, when Krishna left the Pandavas and he returned to Dwarka, it is mentioned that in Bhagavad Bhagavatam that Yudhishthira Maharaj was once discussing, with his minister, saying that, okay, how can we get the association of Lord Krishna again? So he was discussing with his minister, and Yudhishthira Maharaj said, okay, let's do one thing. Let's send a false message to the Lord saying that, okay, we have been attacked. Okay. And somehow when he knows that, we have been attacked, he will definitely come back to save us. So it is quite interesting that the Pandavas and everyone in that same lineage were so much attached to the Lord that they were ready to do anything to get the association of the Lord. And Yudhishthira Maharaj, being Dharmaraj Yudhishthira, was even ready to lie, saying that, okay, we have been attacked, and then the Lord we will be able to see the Lord. Quite interesting, right? And the other part is also Parikshit Maharaj was ready to leave the throne immediately moment he knew that he's going to die within 7 days. And even if you look at Yudhishthira Maharaj, when Arjuna came back and gave the information that, Krishna has already left this material world and he has gone back to his spiritual abode, immediately Yudhishthir Maharaj took a decision that he is going to leave. He put Parikshit Maharaj on the throne and they left. So that's the dedication. That's what is seen within the Pandavas as such, that they wanted the association of the Lord at any given point of time. And the moment they saw that the Lord has left, they were even ready to leave their opulence, their kingdoms, their people around them, their family, and everyone. Quite interesting. Okay, so let's go to shloka number 16. Right, 16 says, Punascha bhuyad bhagvat tanante rati prasangascha tadashrayeshu mahatsu yam yamupayami shrishtim maitreyastu sarvatra namo dvijebhya. Translation. Again, offering obeisances on to all you Brahmanas, I pray that if I should again take my birth in the material world, I will have complete attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna, association with his devotees, and friendly relations with all living beings. Can someone read the purport?
That a devotee of the Lord is the only perfect living being is explained herein by Maharaj Parikshit. A devotee of the Lord is no one's enemy, although there may be some enemies of a devotee. A devotee of the Lord does not like to associate with non-devotees, although he has no enmity with them. He desires association with the devotees of the Lord. That is perfectly natural because birds of the same feather mix together. After the most important function of a devotee is and the most important function of a devotee is to have complete attachment for Lord Krishna, the father of all living beings. As a good son of the father behaves in a friendly way with all his other brothers, so also the devotee of the Lord, being a good son of the Supreme Father. Lord Krishna sees all other living beings in relation with the Supreme Father. He tries to bring back the upstart sons of the Father to a saner stage and to get them to accept the supreme fatherhood of God. Maharaj Parikshit was certainly going back to Godhead, but even if he were not to go back, he prayed for a pattern of life which is the most perfect way in the material world. A pure devotee does not desire the company of the personality as great as Brahma, but he prefers the association of a petty living being, provided he is a devotee of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Okay.
Prabhu. So sorry to disturb you, Prabhu. Prabhu, when you are sharing the screen for the shlokas, now we can't see that screen. We are only seeing the screen of the presentation.
Sorry. Yeah, Prabhu. Sorry, Mataji. Yeah, I got what you're saying. So I should share my full screen then. Okay. Now you will be able to. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So the next shloka is 19, right? Okay, so 19 is this one, right? So it says Punashcha Bhuyad Bhagavati Anante. So here it's very beautifully said that attachment towards the Lord who has unlimited potency. So this shloka is talking about how Parikshit Maharaj wants to get associated to the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay. This also indicates the present life of Parikshit Maharaj. This really says that he was completely attached to the Lord in his lifetime, and he also wanted now that it is said that Parikshit Maharaj will go back to the Lord's abode, but if he doesn't go, then Parikshit Maharaj now is requesting very specifically that even if the next life, if I'm unable to go, I should get the association of the pure devotees of the Lord. So Parikshit Maharaj was the most fortunate. We saw also in the previous slide that he was one of the most fortunate people to get the darshan of the Lord in the womb, and he was always seeing the same Lord with his eyes. He was so much attracted towards the same feature of the Lord that he was present always in the mind and constantly in front of his eyes. And he used to, it is said that he used to always remember the Lord whenever he used to see an effulgent person in front of him, right? And he was the first person to see the Lord in the womb, so he was the most fortunate. And this is where the shloka says, Rati prasangas chatas ashrayeshu, ashrayeshu. So it says the association is the most important. Now, Parikshit Maharaj is typically praying to the Lord that birth after birth, he gets the attachment towards the Lord, and he gets the association of the devotees. This is what he's praying. Prabhupada says, yes, he was supposed to go back to Godhead, but if this doesn't happen, Parikshit Maharaj is really praying that he gets again an attachment towards the Lord, and he gets the association of the Lord if he takes another birth. Okay. Now, Parikshit Maharaj was looking at himself, and he was always thinking, and he was always doubtful whether he will go back to the Godhead, yes or no. And hence he was always praying that whenever that next birth happens, he always gets an association. There was no doubt that he's going, but Parikshit Maharaj was always so humble that he was looking at himself and saying, no, I'm not qualified to go back. And hence he was requesting the association of the Lord and praying to the rishis that were present. So a very important part is also in this shloka is Lord becomes very happy when you see others in relation to the Supreme Lord. Okay, so when the Lord sees that you are seeing everyone at that same level, you are seeing everyone with the same relationship as your Supreme Father, the Lord really becomes very happy. And he requested also a friendly relationship with all the living beings. So when he's doing this, when he's requesting for an association, when he's requesting to have attachment towards the Lord, when he's requesting that if I get another birth, may I get a friendly relationship with all the living beings. When he's doing all of this, the Lord actually becomes, Maharaj says, Lord really becomes very happy when you do this. Okay, and this is what is happening in this particular shloka, which is the shloka number 16. Okay, let's look at shloka number 17. Okay, shloka 17 says, Iti sma rajadhya Iti sma rajadhya vasaya yuktaha prachina muleshu kuleshu dhira Udanmukho dakshina kule aste samudra patnya swasutanyastabharaha. Translation. In perfect sense control, Maharaj Parikshit sat down on a seat of straw with straw roots facing the east, placed on the southern banks of the Ganges, and he himself faced the north. Just previously, he had given charge of his kingdom over to his son. Purport. Can someone read the purport?
Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. The river Ganges is celebrated as the wife of the sea, the seat of Kusa. Straw is considered to be sanctified if the straw is taken out of the earth completely with roots. And if the root is pointed towards the east, it is considered to be auspicious. Facing the north is still more favorable for attaining spiritual success. Maharaja Parikshit handed over the charge of administration to his son before leaving home. He was thus fully equipped for all favorable conditions. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so 17 talks about another quality of Parikshit Maharaj, which is self-control. He was completely under the self. He was self-controlled, completely self-controlled. And in this shloka, it is all talking about there were a lot of spiritual conditions for attaining spiritual success that were there with Parikshit Maharaj. So first is, with all the favorable conditions, sages assembled around, all giving him the blessings, a good conversation that was happening. It was all favorable condition, and he sat on the seer of the straw. That means he sat on the kusha, on the kusha grass that he had. Now, it is also said that he completed the journey and was headed towards the Lord's abode. Now, this is at the moment where, Sukdev Goswami has not started speaking. It is only about he being preparing for that particular journey. So he completed his journey as a king. Now he's headed towards the Lord's abode. Okay. And it is also said that he also did quite a preparation, because he has to hand over the charge to his son. So he did that. He did that preparation. He was ready now, and he, with all the self-control that he had, he sat on that kusha straw mat in a particular direction, and he's now ready to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam. This is all about shloka number 17. Okay. 18. Okay, 18 says, Evam cha evam cha. Sorry, I'm reading the correct. Okay. Evam cha tasmin naradev deve prayopavishte divideva sangha prashasya bhumo Vyakiran prasure murda muhurdundu bhayashta neduhu. Translation. Thus, the king Parikshit Maharaj sat to fast until death. All the demigods of the higher planets praised the king's actions, and in pleasure continually scattered flowers over the earth and beat the celestial drums. Purport. Can anyone read the purport? Okay, I will do. Can you hear me?
Even up to the time of Maharaj Parikshit, there were interplanetary communications, and the news of Maharaj Parikshit fasting unto death to attain salvation reached the higher planets in the sky where the intelligent demigods live. Demigods are more luxurious than human beings, but all of them are obedient to the orders of the Supreme Lord. There is no one in the heavenly planets who is an atheist or non-believer. Thus, any devotee of the Lord on the surface of the earth is always praised by them. And in the case of Maharaj Parikshit, they were greatly delighted and thus gave tokens of honor by scattering flowers over the earth and by beating celestial drums. A demigod takes pleasure in seeing someone go back to the Godhead. He is always pleased with the devotee of the Lord, so much so that by his Adi Devi powers, he may help the devotees of all in all respects, and by their actions, the Lord is pleased with them. There is an invisible chain of complete cooperation between the Lord, the demigods, and the devotee of the Lord on earth. Hare Krishna.
So, in the 18th shloka, demigods praise Parikshit Maharaj, right? They are praising Parikshit Maharaj. Now, this verse, Prabhupada says that during the Parikshit Maharaj era, people could go from one planet to the other planet easily, right? Demigods can too communicate with people. And so these were two things that were still possible till the age when Parikshit Maharaj was there. And it is said that demigods really become very happy and give their blessings to a person who performs bhakti. And this is what is happening. Parikshit Maharaj was a real devotee of the Lord, and demigods are now assembled to give all the blessings to him. So they are very happy when a person performs a bhakti. This is where the demigods are actually showering all the flowers from the heaven. So yeah, demigod, when they got this information that Parikshit Maharaj has only 7 days to live and he has accepted now to be on the fast for 7 days, just hear the Katha of the Lord, hear the Hari Katha, they really started blessing him and they started showering flowers and playing celestial drums. Okay. Now, Maharaj also says very specifically, demigods take pleasure in seeing a person going back to Godhead. So this is what was happening. Parikshit Maharaj is now headed towards the spiritual abode, and seeing this, demigods are taking a very special pleasure in that. And it is also said in the purport that demigod also will help a person in every aspect with their Adi Devic powers. So the demigods will bless that person with all the powers that they have, so that that person can reach that spiritual abode easily. And this is a very nice relationship that is between the Bhagwan, Devta, and the Bhakt. So all three are there. The demigods are there. The Lord is also present. The demigods, the bhaktas are present, and this is a very sweet relationship between these. So knowing that Parikshit Maharaj is going to attain the spiritual abode, the blessings are coming from the demigods, and this is how they are reciprocating with Parikshit Maharaj in this shloka number 18. Okay. Okay, let's go to the last one, which is shloka number 19. Maharshayo ve samupagataye prashasya sadvitya nu modamana uchu prajanugrahashila sara yaduttama shloka gunabhirupam. Translation: all the sages who were assembled were also praised the decision of Parikshit Maharaj. They expressed their approval by saying, very good, sadhu, sadhu. Naturally, the sages are inclined to do good to the common man, for they have all the qualitative powers of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, they were very much pleased to see Parikshit Maharaj, a devotee of the Lord, and they spoke as follows. Purport, I'll read it. The natural beauty of the living being is enhanced by raising up to the platform of the devotional service. Parikshit Maharaj was absorbed in the attachment of Lord Krishna. Seeing this, the great sages assembled were very pleased, and they expressed their approval by saying, very good. Such sages are naturally inclined to do good to the common man, and when they see a personality like Parikshit Maharaj advance in the devotional service, their pleasure knows no bounds, and they offer all blessings with their power, in their power. The devotional service of the Lord is so auspicious that demigods and sages, up to the Lord himself, become very pleased with the devotee, and therefore the devotee finds everything auspicious. All inauspicious matters are removed from the path of a progressive devotees. Meeting all the great sages at the time of death was certainly auspicious for Parikshit Maharaj, and thus he was blessed by the so-called curse of a Brahmana boy. So the last shloka is all about demigods praising Parikshit Maharaj. All the demigods and the sages both were present, including the lords. They were all praising Parikshit Maharaj. They were praising Parikshit Maharaj because he took a decision to hear the glories of the Lord, right? And Radha Goswami Maharaj says that the devotee's behavior remains imbued with the qualities of the Lord, right? So rishis were praising praising Parikshit Maharaj, and they had equal qualitative powers and the strength to praise Parikshit Maharaj and to give him the blessings. And even rishis have the same strength and the qualitative power to be kind to a common person who actually is devoted towards the service of the Lord. So the most important part is devotional service is auspicious, and when you perform devotional service, the demigods and the Lord himself will get pleased. And there would be no inauspiciousness if you are performing bhakti or devotional service unto the Lord. And all the inauspicious would then be removed if you are on the path of the bhakti. So devotional service in the shloka is very specifically said is very auspicious. And if you are on the path of bhakti, then you will have no inauspiciousness whatsoever, and the Lord will help you in removing all the inauspiciousness that is on the path of bhakti. So that was the shloka number 19 that we had, and that was the last shloka. We'll hear from shloka number 20 next class onwards. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thanks a lot. Any questions? Any?
Nothing, Prabhuji.
No, Prabhu. Okay.
So we'll wrap up then here. Then. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
for
Hare
coming.
Krishna.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna,
all.
brother.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.